Hello everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I am Fel. We're sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends today. Some very important, very exciting news just dropped in-game yesterday. Today we're going to be going over that, my thoughts, and everything else, guys. It's super exciting. A new event dungeon, a new mythical champion, some questions regarding this new mythical champion, and more, so stick around till the end of the video for that. But guys, new mythical champion means a new kit. What exactly does this champion do? Well, I've got her kit right here so that we can see. Hey you, stop right there. Click the link in the description below to get a free Corrado, as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you level up your account in Raid. Here's exactly how to do it. Log out of Clarion Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description below and register with a brand new email. Log in and complete the tutorial. You'll find Corrado in your inbox, as well as Fane, Ugo, and Vergus as you level up. If you're looking for a great start in Raid, this is your chance. Make sure you get your free Corrado as well as 3 free epics by clicking my link right away. Alright, so guys, I've got the Mythicals kit right here. It is confirmed that this Mythical will be the boss of the new event dungeon, so understanding her kit means that we can start strategizing some teams and understanding what exactly she's going to do. Well, on her A1, her Surge of Chaos here, on her base form, right, she has Force Affinity, right, attacks all enemies, heals all allies. The value of the heal is proportional to this champion's attack. Pretty cool skill, right? Kind of like a Raglan style heal, right? With the value of the heal being proportional to the champion's attack. And since the second form is an attack-based nuke, we're not losing out on any stats. This does synergize very well with the form change, which is great to see in a mythical champion because you don't always see that, right? Some of the mythicals synergize better than others as far as their form to form goes. This one looks like it's going to be pretty cool. On her A2, anything for Seroth on a 3-turn cooldown fully booked, removes all debuffs from all allies. Full cleanse is useful everywhere in the game, right? Then places a 50% increased attack and a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's attack. Now, again, shield proportional to her attack is very good. It synergizes very well with her second form, which is again an attack-based nuker. So she's got a shield, she's got an increased attack, a good protection, right? A good protection skill. She's gonna make your nukers hit harder with a full cleanse. It's very nice. It's a very nice skill there, especially for a 3-turn cooldown. Then on the A3, running rampant here on a 4-turn cooldown fully booked, places a taunt buff and a 25% fortify buff on this champion for 2 turns. Also places an unkillable buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Now, the fortify buff reduces ignore defense effects by 25%, right? There is a weak version too, but she places the big version here. 25% fortify buff, right? So it's unsure if the reduction is multiplicative or additive, but something is going to be reduced by 25% as far as ignore defense effects are concerned. So she's going to put that on herself with a taunt, which is really good, and then places an unkillable on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Again, protecting your team. She's going to be really tanky, right? Especially since her A1 heals all allies just constantly, right? And then she has a shield. She's going to be super tanky. She's got her Metamorph, of course, and then she's got her Collector of Pawns passive. The passive effect receives 15 less damage for each alive ally. That is insanely good, right? You take her into arena, she's got 3 alive allies. She's going to be taking 45% less damage. That is insanely good, right? Anywhere in PvE. In Hydra, she's gonna be like 90%. Is that 90% less damage in Hydra? That is insane. And then 75% damage in regular waves. I believe that's right. I may have gotten my math a little bit wrong there. Either way, that is insanely good. That is insanely good, right? Active effect instantly transforms the champion into their alternate form whenever their last living ally is killed. So similar to like a Sigfrund, right? Similar to a nice, very solid base form on this mythical champion. Now, this is a mythical champion that's going to be the event dungeon boss. So as good as this champion is, we also have to fight her constantly in order to get our pinpoint gear, right? So, Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Second form, and then we're gonna talk about some weird stuff with this mythical. All right. So second form here also looks pretty cool. That kind of thing. Again, Demon Spawn, Force Affinity, Attack Champion, right? Destroyer of all on the A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. If this attack kills an enemy, deals pure damage to all other enemies. If the other enemies are not bosses or minions, the amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 30% of the initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are bosses or minions, the pure damage dealt is equal to 10% of their max HP instead. This attack cannot be critical. So what you do, you go in, you build what? Karoza. Karoza is her name. You build Karoza in like ignore defense gear with Helm Smasher. She goes in with her A1, Destroyer of all, kills like a Duchess, kills a Marichka, kills a Pythion, someone who's super tanky, right? And then it deals 30% of their max HP on a normal hit to everybody else on the team. This is an insanely good skill for Arena. It's not as good for PvE because, you know, it only works in settings where there are bosses and minions. The clan bosses don't have minions. A lot of the bosses don't have minions. It could work on Ice Golem, but you don't want it to work on Ice Golem because you're just gonna trip that passive and get slammed, right? So I don't know. The Destroyer of all seems a very arena focus. The A2, Icon of Havoc, on a 3-turn cooldown, fully booked, attacks all enemies before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies. Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Also places a 25% weaken debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. So again, we see that high attack synergy. You want to build this champion with very high attack. She's going to benefit from it in her base form as well as in her alternate nuke form, meaning you don't need to build her with accuracy, which is really nice. Really nice, especially against high resistance targets who have low attack, like the Ankoras, the Marichkas, the Pythions, you know, all of those kinds of things in Arena. Ruthless Agent to the A3 on a 4-turn cooldown, fully booked, places a 15% shatter buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns, places a true fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Once again, we see that attack synergy. So she has shatter and increased crit rate. Now she is going to come off with an extra turn, right? Okay, so the shatter buff increases ignore defense effects by 15%. So she's going to get an extra 15% ignore defense. Then she's going to buff her crit rate and then put true fear on everybody. Potentially irresistible, almost definitely going to be irresistible, then grants an extra turn. So she comes off her metamorph, gets an extra turn, Ruthless Agent to self-buff, gets another extra turn right into the Icon of Havoc there. That is an insanely powerful combo, right? That is, she gets 3 turns in a row. 3 turns in a row, all of which have some sort of irresistible effect. Like, this is an insanely good mythical champion, and she's going to be an absolute pain in the rear to fight as a boss, right? I think this is probably going to be the hardest event dungeon that we have so far. She has her metamorph, of course, which, by the way, is going to be, I think, on a 2-turn cooldown. Yeah, on a 2-turn cooldown because of all the extra turns. I think 2 or 3-turn cooldown. I think it's a 2-turn cooldown. And then her Vile Murderous passive deals 15% more damage for each dead ally. Each critical hit boosts this champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. So 15% more damage for each dead ally. Again, 45% extra damage in Arena, assuming she's the last one standing. Each critical hit boosts the champion's turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. So this Destroyer of all, it potentially has the potential in Arena to give her a 90% turn meter fill, which is absolutely insane, right? Absolutely insane. This is a crazy champion. And we have to be mindful of this, because the past 2 event dungeon bosses were chase champions. They ran, 10, 15x events. They ran summon pools, all that kind of stuff. Now, live in game, I believe starting today, we've got extra points on primal shards in a summon rush. So they're kind of trying to bait our primals, which makes me think 2x mythicals very soon, and potentially this is the very first progressive chance mythical or 10x mythical. Now, there aren't many mythicals in the game, so if this champion seems to be someone you want, definitely be saving your primal shards for that, because you have a very good shot at getting her if you pull a mythical champion. Now, is she worth it? I I absolutely think so. She looks insane. She's got to have good base stats and she's got to have good multipliers, but her kit reads very, very well. Now, there do seem to be a lot of damage dealing mythical champions, and because of that, they can't all compete with each other. But I think she's definitely going to be a pain to fight. She's going to be fun to fight. I think Marius is once again going to be MVP because she has a lot of self buffs, right? So he's got that triple hit enemy max HP and he's got that decreased buff duration, right? So I think he's going to be MVP for this boss. You're going to want to try and experiment with some teams. It may not be worth it to kill all the allies. Who knows? I don't, but we're definitely going to have some trouble with this boss here, especially if you can't just run enemy max HP reset, right? The return of the event dungeon, we've got the pinpoint, which is going to be great. Some of these other sets, accuracy, crit rate, crit damage, curing days can apparently be used in faction wars hard. I like the crit rate and crit damage sets personally. They can help you fill out some stats if you're lacking them on your damage dealers, especially early game. So definitely good to see those all in one spot. Some of the best gear that you can have, especially early game, which is really nice. Now we're also going to get some new relics. So as part of the campaign, 8 exclusive themed relics, rare, epic, legendary, and mythical rarity, will be introduced to the game. All relics will belong to the event relic group. During the campaign, players will be able to obtain unique craft materials for these relics in the selected tournaments and events. I hope what they do is they put some of the relics as rewards for tournaments and events, like they did with the Alice event, right? We had, I think, one or two Cat's Gaze and a bunch of the Hatter's Reserve in some of the events and the tournaments, which is really, really nice. So I hope that is what they do. We've got a huge event coming. I think it's called Chaos Awakens. Let me know your thoughts. Are you excited for this? I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be huge. I hope I get a mythical champion. Guys, as far as shards are concerned, I have been saving my primals, and I have 13 primals ready and rocking. I haven't pulled primals for over a month now, guys. But I have 13, so I am ready for a 2x mythical champion. They're going to pour in. They are going to pour in, and Calamitous, my guy, is finally going to have a couple buddies. And up there with him at the top of the list. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been Felra, sailing the seas of Raid Shadow Legends, and I will see you in another video.